Lovett. I'm here with Dan Pfeiffer. Hi, Dan.
I love it.
We have a lot of news that we're covering on Pod Save America, which will be out tomorrow morning. We wanted to jump on YouTube. I was saying the YouTube, and Dan was making fun of me. Uh, to talk about two insane and stupid things that Donald Trump did over the weekend that he talked about in a pool spray at the White House. You know, let's just go to it.
How did you decide to reopen Alcatraz? Can you walk us through that decision?
Did I say what?
To reopen Alcatraz, how will you use it? How did you come up with the idea?
Well, I guess I was supposed to be a movie maker. We started with the movie making and we'll end. I mean, it represents something very strong, very powerful in terms of law and order. Our country needs law and order. Alcatraz is, I would say, the ultimate, right? Alcatraz, Sing Sing and Alcatraz, the movies. But it's right now a museum, believe it or not. A lot of people go there. It housed the most violent criminals in the world, and nobody ever escaped. One person almost got there, but they, as you know the story, they found his clothing rather badly ripped up, and it was a lot of shark bites, a lot of problems. Nobody's ever escaped from Alcatraz, but it sort of represents something that's both horrible and beautiful and strong and miserable, weak. It's got a lot of qualities that are interesting, and I think they make a point. Okay.
So he's seen the movie The Rock, I think.
I don't know. I think he's only seen Escape from Alcatraz, the movie he just spoiled from everyone.
Yeah, spoiler alert for Escape from Alcatraz, starring Clint Eastwood. Now, in the movie, they leave it ambiguous as to whether or not he escaped. I think that's the fun of Escape from Alcatraz, which is a great movie, by the way. Just a great movie.
Have you been to Alcatraz?
Of course I have, Dan. It's a world-class tourist destination that generates $60 million in tourist revenue every year, and now it's going to, I guess now what he wants to do is shut it down to make room for 300 beds, because I don't know if you were aware of this, Dan. I wasn't aware of it. We've got a huge prison escape problem. All across this America, all across this country, our jails cannot hold the prisoners. Every day you wake up and it's another story about how our federal prison system is unable to contain the worst of the worst, that they're constantly scrambling across the walls, digging tunnels, crawling through the sewage systems, making little holes over decades to get out while doing financial transactions on behalf of the warden. These jails, it is so fucking stupid. I was thinking about this earlier, that when in doubt, remember that Donald Trump's brain last had plasticity sometime in the 1990s, which was an era of dystopian, futuristic prison movies. You had No Escape, which was about a prison island.
Who's that? Jean-Claude Van Damme?
No, I think that's Ray Liotta. I think
Oh,
Ray
yes,
Liotta
that's right. That's right.
is in
That's
No
right.
Escape. You have the movie Fortress. Do you remember the movie Fortress?
Is that a space prison?
No. It's a prison. In a not too distant future, America has a one-child policy,
Oh,
and
yes,
a couple is trying to escape into the Soviet Republic of Canada because the wife has gotten pregnant for a second time, but they're captured because a guard sees that her pregnancy-covering vest is protruding. And so they go into the fortress where you are held deep underground with pain implants. That's the plot of that film.
Who's in that film?
I don't remember his name. Fortress. 1992's Fortress. Oh, it's Christopher Lambert.
Oh, there you go.
Another classic. There's Wedlock, which is Dolph Lundgren, I think, where basically the idea in this prison is everybody has a collar on, and your collar is paired with another collar at the prison, but you don't know who. And the whole prison exists inside of a 300-yard circle. And if you ever get outside the circle and too far from your partner, you explode from the neck. But he finds his partner and they escape. Dan, we live in the dumbest fucking time.
I mean, I don't know whether Donald Trump's obviously never seen any of these movies. Like,
Okay.
I actually think you have put his brain 10 years too late.
Oh, maybe so.
Like,
Maybe
I think he
so.
lost plasticity in the 80s when every movie was about the crime wave in America. And it would, like, I think the movie that is central to him is, like, Cobra with
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone. Which
Maybe
is, like,
Escape from New York. You could have Escape from
Yeah.
New York. That could have
Yeah.
gotten in there. Good point.
Yeah, and so I think he believes in his head, or at least people think, that we are like constantly at risk of roving street gangs taking people down. And so this idea that we would create this prison, like there are so many bad people, we have to create this prison on an island. I also am curious to know what day in the future he's going to learn about supermax prisons, which are part of the federal prison system.
Right. Look, America has many problems, but our prison system being too comfortable is just not among them. It's just not among them. Like
No.
this idea that you got to send people to Guantanamo, you got to send them to El Salvador. There's a report today that the administration is in talks with Rwanda to send migrants to Rwanda to be resettled. I guess it's not necessarily to be in a prison. It's like a lot of this is just predicated on the idea that like we don't have this is America. We have more prisoners per capita than it. Like this is something we're good at.
This is the one thing we do is prisons.
Yeah.
We do well. Yes.
So that was from Trump's Oval Office pool spray. For a guy that hates the free press, he's done more interviews in 60 days than Joe Biden's done in 60 years. But that's just an interesting part of it. But let's go to one more clip. This is. Well, look, the Pope died, and Donald Trump is he's mourning.
Catholics were not so happy about the image of you looking like the Pope.
Oh, I see. You mean they can't take a joke? You don't mean the Catholics. You mean the fake news media. Not the Catholics loved it. I had nothing to do with it. Somebody made up a picture of me dressed like the Pope, and they put it out on the internet. That's not me that did it. I have no idea where it came from. Maybe it was AI. But I know nothing about it. I just saw it last evening. Actually, my wife thought it was cute. She said, "Isn't that nice?"
My question about
Actually, I would not be able to be married, though. That would be a lot. I'd have to the best of my knowledge, popes aren't big on getting married, are they? Not that we know of, no.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but he's also he'd be on his third marriage, which is, I don't know if you're familiar with the history of Catholicism, but it created some problems for Henry VIII, I believe, when he wanted to get married. Led to a pretty big split there, if I'm getting my history right. Dan, imagine, I know it's quaint. I know it makes me silly. I want you to tell me what would have happened if Barack Obama had posted a picture after the death of Pope John Paul II of him fully rendered as the next pope after telling reporters that he would like to be pope. What do you think that the Republicans in Congress would say about that?
Here's how it would start. Let's say he does it on a Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
Monday morning opens. Morning Joe spends the first hour and a half on it. They bring in strategists to talk about how Obama's losing the Catholic vote in Pennsylvania and Ohio. Republicans in Congress start giving floor speeches. Someone files articles of impeachment just because.
Right.
There are, like, Fox News literally just levitates off the ground because they're so excited. And it's nonstop coverage.
It's great. It's wall to fucking wall.
Well, yes. I mean, and then every single Democrat in Congress will then be pigeonholed by every reporter about whether they will condemn Obama for the Pope photo. And then one of them will certainly do it. And they're creating pressure on more of them. Democrats abandon Obama over Pope photo. Then a bunch of strategists will call Politico and say that this is probably going to cost us the midterms. Doesn't matter what. Like, this could be 2 years from the midterms that this could cost us it. And they're very concerned about it. And then Obama will be forced. And then the White House press secretary, whoever would be at the time, would be forced to, would be screamed at until they apologized.
And then there would be a meeting, and then some cardinal would be fucking hauled into the Rose Garden.
He would have to meet. Yes, like what would be the Catholic equivalent of a beer summit?
Yeah, the beer summit. For those listening, there was a moment. There was something called it could something feel more like it's from another time than the fucking beer summit? Actually, honestly though, it used to feel really old. Now with Trump, doesn't it kind of feel like the kind of shit he would pull?
It was a warning sign that politics was about to get really fucking stupid, and here we are.
Yeah, so just the beer summit, it's worth telling people what that is. So, Dan, do you want to just do it as fast? I
Sure,
can't.
I'll do
Yeah.
it. So Obama was giving a primetime press conference, and he had got to his last question, and then he made the cardinal mistake you never make in a press conference, which is he goes, "I'll take one more." And the question was about the arrest of Harvard professor and friend of Obama, Henry Louis Gates, outside of his house in Cambridge, Massachusetts, by a white police officer. Obama commented on it without the full set of facts. It set off a firestorm of epic proportions about how the black president was bringing race into the campaign. Basically, what I just said about the Pope is what happened about the beer summit. And it ended with Obama having to call the police officer and inviting him to have a beer at the White House on the Rose Garden with Obama, Henry Louis Gates, and the police officer. And the press had to come take photos and video of it happening as a moment of fake optical racial reconciliation in America.
And that was the last we ever had to deal with it. Actually, that was what was so cool about it is that was the final piece in the cathedral of American progress. One question I would have for you, just because we'll talk about it on the pod today. Over the weekend, he made news around saying that he doesn't. He'd have to ask his lawyers whether he's in charge of upholding the Constitution. There are reports about deporting people to countries around the world. They're now trying to offer people $1,000 to self-deport. He's still refusing to rule out running in 2028. And then he talks about fucking Alcatraz. He goes off half-baked on tariffs on foreign films, which I'm not sure how you do that, given a lot of them, I don't know if you know this, Dan, they come into your house as zeros and ones. So it's hard to figure out when to levy that fee. And he pulls, and then he does all this fucking Pope bullshit, and it's hard to know. Like, he's a little bit like America's assignment editor, and like, are we stupid for getting sucked into talking about this?
I think one interesting thing that I read, which on the internet, which must be true, is that Trump came up with the tariff thing after spending the weekend with John Voight and his manager at Mar-a-Lago.
So that really checks out to me because last week there was reporting that John Voight was going around trying to meet with Hollywood bigwigs because he is trying to figure out a plan to save Hollywood. And there is a genuine crisis in the entertainment industry where Los Angeles has lost production to Atlanta and other parts of the U.S. that have better incentives, and America is losing production to Canada, Australia, the UK, Hungary. There's a lot of things shooting in Hungary. I don't know if those people are turning on the news, but it's not exactly a friendly environment for progressive people. But as is always the case, like there is a real problem, and he is definitely going to try to make it worse. But because right now there's a bill. There's a proposal in Los Angeles to try to make shooting in Los Angeles easier, and there's a couple of bills in the legislature to try to increase the financial incentives and to remove some of the kind of bureaucratic impediments to shooting in Los Angeles. Those things are really important. You're not going to get to more shooting in Los Angeles by doing surprise tariffs on the movies made in London last year. You can't. If the movie was made last year, they can't make it this year in America. That's one of the challenges of movies, because it's not it's so fucking stupid, Dan.
It's so dumb. So I think we had a lot of discussion before Trump came in this time. Like, well, don't follow him down the rabbit hole. Don't follow him the rabbit hole. And then he did all these things that were not rabbit holes. They were purely dangerous things, like the illegal deportations, people getting rid of due process. I think a lot of this weekend was the distractions that are probably not worth spending a ton of time on. The Pope thing most particular.
Right.
Like, it is funny to talk about. We should make fun of him. We deserve the laughter that comes from it.
Yeah,
but he's not going to become Pope, right? And that is, and finding outrage over that at the time that people are being deported without due process, or we're cutting cancer funding. I mean, there's a horrible story this weekend about a woman who's in an Alzheimer's trial, or trials that are going to probably go away now because they got rid of the research funding. Just So, like, those are the things to focus on.
And you probably have to tell her over and over.
Cut my laughter to that joke.
Because that's one of the fucking shames of it.
Anywho.
Jesus. I think you're right. I think it's very serious. Listen, I'm sorry. This is what my brain has done to me because Donald Trump is president again. But I do think, like, I think we should make fun of Trump for this stuff and point out how fucking stupid and inane it is. I think the line we cross is when we based on nothing assume it must be offensive to people and therefore act offended by the photo of him as the Pope. Like, it's stupid. Maybe there are people out there that are genuinely offended by it, but we're not. And like, and most people know he's a fucking dummy. So like, I don't think we can make fun of it, but I think it's like pretending to take offense and then being like, it's gonna cost him with the Ohio Catholics. I think is when we've gone a bit too far.
Yeah, and he's clearly melted. Like, this weekend is an example of how Trump acts when he's starting to freak out about things.
Yeah.
Like, he knows his poll numbers. He knows what's happening in the economy.
Yeah.
And so he starts lashing out and just throwing as much shit as he can against the wall. And it is going to be sort of up to us to pick and choose both which things to talk about and then how to talk about them.
All right, that's a great place to leave it. Thank you, Dan, for joining us here on the YouTube. Please subscribe to Pod Save America on YouTube. Conservatives are crushing liberals and progressives on YouTube. So subscribing helps us get good content out there to more people, helps us create a progressive counterweight to the right-wing media machine. Thanks, and we will see you on the full Pod Save America episode out tomorrow.
All right, bye, everyone.